So this video is going to review how we use our graphing calculator. There should have been a video on this already. So I'm going to skip this part up here. This is just all the buttons you press on your calculator. It's for your reference. Always have this. You always can utilize this as you move forward as to what to do. Now let's get into some examples and actually apply it into our calculator. You can see I have the graphing calculator off to the side here. You're definitely going to need that in this part. There will be a problem, one problem on the first quiz where you have like this, and there's going to be a handful of problems that are going to be like this or similar to this on our test. So to start, I don't need the graphing calculator to answer this first question. It says, based on the function, what is the maximum number of zeros? Remember, that's asking us, based on this equation, how many zeros could it possibly have? And that has everything to do with this largest exponent. In this case, the largest exponent is 3, so that is the maximum number of zeros this could have. It doesn't mean it has 3, but that's the maximum amount it could have. The rest of this, we're going to need our graphing calculator. I've already typed it into mine. Throughout this video, I'm going to have the calculator prepped and ready to go. I'm not going to go through all of the buttons that we press. If you struggle with that, please make sure to ask on that. I've already typed in my 1/2 x to the third minus 3x plus 2. Make sure you're using parentheses. You can pause this if you need to help with what I typed in. Then I can look at my graph. That's what I want to sketch in here. So as I look at that, I see that it starts, its end behavior would be at a negative infinity on the left, and it moves up into quadrant 2. It has a maximum, comes down into through quadrant 1 into quadrant 4 for a quick minimum, and then back up another end behavior to positive infinity. The graph then tells me how many zeros there actually are. And I can tell from the graph, you can see it crosses the x-axis. Those are my zeros. It crosses 3 times. 1, 2, 3. How many vertices are there? Vertices are your maximums and minimums. There are 2. There's one here that is a maximum, and then there is one down here that is a minimum. And list the coordinates of each vertex. So the rest of this is all in the calculator. They want us to label on our graph the coordinates for all of my zeros, label the coordinates for my minimum and for my maximum. So when we're on our graphing calculator, that means we are pressing the second trace, because that's calculate in blue. I'm going to first find my zeros, so I can choose 0. That's number 2. It's asking me to give it a left bound. If I'm finding this first 0, I need to go scroll to the left of that 0. When it asks for left, go left. Hit enter, right bound, looking for the right of that 0. I've gone to the right, now I've to the right of it, I hit enter. For guess, you're just checking to make sure you're in between. Now, when you get something like this, this is scientific notation. I'm not 100% sure why our calculators do this and why they type it into this little accuracy, but it really means -1 times 10 to the -12th power. We're going to treat that as a 0. If you see the capital letter E, the scientific notation here, we're going to treat that as a 0 because that's what we're looking for when y equals 0. We have a coordinate here where x is at -2.732, which is -2.73. and the y is at 0. That's 1, 0. If I'm looking to find my next 0 right here, I have to do second trace and choose 0 again. But this time, for my left bound, I'm going to scroll closer to that 0, but still stay left of it, and hit enter. Right bound, I'm going to go to the right of that 0, but not past my next one. So I'm going to go somewhere like right here, right near that minimum, and hit enter. Guess means, is that minimum, or that 0 you're looking for, in between these two arrows, or these two dashed lines on my calculator? If it is, you hit enter again. 0.732, comma 0. And then for my last 0, do the process all over again, second trace 5. Left bound, stay to the left, enter, right bound, stay to the right, enter, guess, Oop, I picked the wrong thing. I must have done intersect, so it's 0 that I'm looking for, which is number 2. Left bound is around here. Right bound is up here. Guess is enter. 2, 0. For the minimum and maximum, it's very similar. Okay? It's second trace, but now it's different. You've got to make sure you understand the difference between a minimum and a maximum. If I'm looking for the maximum up here, I have to pick the right thing. Your calculator will not be able to get the ordered pair you're looking for because it's going to do exactly what you ask it to do. So you have to be precise in how you communicate with that calculator. I want the maximum. That's number 4. I can scroll down to 4 or just select 4. Left bound. I have to go to the left of that maximum. If I choose maximum and try to find this minimum, it's not going to get me the minimum. It's going to get me a different point. It's going to get me actually one of these boundaries, whichever one has a higher y value. So I'm telling it to find the maximum that's going to be in between this on the left and this on the right. The maximum is in between. It's going to pull the highest y value on the graph in between these two lines. That's what those minimum or the boundaries are representing. So when it says guess, make sure that max is in there. Negative 1.414 is at negative 1.41. 4.028 is at 4.03. That's the maximum. Minimum is second trace. Choose number 3. Don't choose maximum here. Left bound, right bound. Okay, the minimum I'm looking for is in between those. I hit enter. 1.414 is 1.41. Negative 0.828 is 0.83. If I read that wrong, and if that was a 4.83, I apologize, but it's really small on my screen. Now, what I want you guys to do is go ahead and try all of the problems on the next page. In about 10 seconds, I am going to start posting answers only. I'm not going to go through all the buttons on the calculator again. I don't want to make the video 15, 20, 30 minutes long. So you'll have answers throughout the video. Hit pause and try each one, please. So for number 1, our graph should look something like this. It has a maximum at 3.6. It has a 0 at negative 1.240 and at positive 7.240. Go ahead and pause. Trying number 2, please. We should get a max and a min. Don't forget that that is a minimum and that is a maximum, even though it never crosses the x-axis. They don't have to cross the x-axis. It's a local maximum with only one 0, even though the maximum number of zeros was 3. One last problem I would like you to try. Here's our answer for number 3. Again, if you have questions on how to use that calculator, please be sure to ask before we take our quiz.